Hey peeps, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Versus. Today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite shows and favorite books, the Vampire Diaries. Okay, so the Vampire Diaries, wildly popular show. I don't know if the books are as wildly popular. They differ in a lot of ways. So you have the awakening and the struggle. It's a volume collecting both parts 1 and 2 of the series. It was originally published by L.J Smith in 1991, and this particular volume was later published in 1997, and the Vampire Diaries show, which aired on the CW for the first time in 2009, which feels like a lifetime ago, since that first episode. So, the series finds Elena and the Salvatore brothers, Stefan and Damon, and they're caught up in a love triangle that quickly turns dangerous and supernatural and sexy and mysterious, and just craziness happens. The setting. The book setting is Fells Church, a small town in Southern Virginia, a place that it unconsciously attracts supernatural beings like witches and werewolves, because there are several lines that have crossed energy running throughout the town. For the show, the setting is Mystic Falls, Virginia, a place where the Salvatore brothers originally lived during the 1800s and over 1,000 years before that. Still some similarities there, change of name, but for the most part, the gist of the town is still the same, and why, things are happening there. Okay, so you have Elena. She's our golden girl. She can get any boy that she wants. In the book, she's fair-skinned. She has really, ice blue eyes, long blonde hair, and she still has a tragic backstory with her parents dying in a car crash, and then her aunt taking over as the guardian for her and her brother. That still happens in the show itself, except in the show she's not blonde, blue eyes. She has a little tan, olive skin, darker eyes, and darker hair. So that changes. The backstory essentially stays the same. And yeah, her personality is kind of the same, where everybody just gravitates towards her. Her journey changes. They cut out a lot of her journey for the show. The book has just an in-depth feel to it. At one point, she becomes this angel, and then the show just cut the existence of angels altogether. So again, it's writing along the lines, but they're not ever kind of meeting. So you have Stefan, which is her first love interest, mysterious, quiet guy, good looking. Those things, his personality doesn't really change from the book to the show. It's kind of the same. In the book, they give him more of a backstory. There are more books detailing his past as an Italian man in this family of just power, as what they would used to call him, which was the Ripper, because he's a vampire, but he was really violent in the past. And then you don't get that much detail as the books give you in the show. Personality stays the same, backstory differs just a notch. Damon Salvatore, the sexy rebel brother, he has no conscience, right? His appearance sort of stays the same. In the show, he has the piercing blue eyes, and in the book, he has black eyes and he's just black hair, and it differs a little bit. Again, his backstory is kind of the same as Stefan's, with the Italian descent and all that stuff happening in the book. In the show, he goes completely good. In the book, he goes from bad to not so bad. So those are like, again, there's differences, but they're not major differences. You have Bonnie, which is one of Elena's best friends. Her appearance in the book, she's fair skinned and she has like fair hair. She's very fragile, very dependent on her friends, and she's a witch. In the show, she grows to be strong. She's independent. She's a psychic. You know, in the book, she's a potential love interest for Damon. You know, and again, here I feel like they try to go parallel because witch, psychic, along those lines. But again, her backstory in the book and then with Damon and everything that happens, it's so vast compared to the show where she's kind of remains one note, I feel, and she's very outspoken and she just remains in her own, like, she has her own goals, I feel. So yeah, Bonnie changes. Carolyn, she is red hair, green eyes, bronze skin for the show. She hates Elena. She turns into a werewolf and has a love interest with Tyler Smallwood. In the show, she's blonde, she's fair skinned, she has blue eyes. Eventually, she turns into a vampire, and her love interest for Tyler Smallwood, it just is a fleeting moment. It's very quick. She goes through major character development during the show and is good friends with Elena. And again, they sort of get the gist there, but yeah, it's two different storylines there. It's kind of two different people. And when you see like the covers of the book, like they just differ from what we know on the show. Jeremy, he's Elena's younger brother, and they have a really strong relationship. In the book, he doesn't exist. So instead, she has a younger sister that named Margaret, who shares like a really striking resemblance to Elena. So yeah, this is a character that doesn't exist. He doesn't exist in the book. They make him up for the show. So what are the differences? He's not there. So that's a whole other thing that they do. And Margaret, she's just much younger, and she's not like a main focal point in the books. So that's a really major difference. You have when they add a whole other character that doesn't even exist in the book world. Then you have Tyler Smallwood. In the books, he was never a main character. They gave him a much more detailed and amped up storyline than what we see in the books ever. So you're gonna go look for differences and similarities in Tyler Smallwood. You're not gonna find it because he's not really in the foreground. He's in the background, and for the show, he's just like his storyline is really amped up. And they use him a lot, and especially towards the beginning-ish of the show. So yeah. Vampire Diaries. They're both equally good. I think to compare them, you're mostly comparing name, a little bit of backstory here and there, but really they're just two separate entities than from each other. They're two separate entities from each other. The book has just so much detail, so many different supernatural beings, not just witches and werewolves and vampires, but kitsune and demons. There's a whole underground like world that's happening beneath their town that's just dirty and rank and vast, right? And we don't even touch the tip of that on the show. The show is mostly surface level stuff, the same names, little attributes here and there. The powers are they start to differ, and it's a lot of it's CW, it's a lot of love interest. Will they, won't they? I love this brother, now I love this brother, wait, I love this brother again, and back and forth. Don't get me wrong, I love the show, but again, they're two different beings and entities, so you can enjoy one and enjoy the other equally. But to compare them, it's gonna fall short of each other. You're gonna be hit and miss. And fans of the show go back and they read the book and they're just like, oh, it was good, but the show, this didn't happen in the show, and then fans of the book go watch the show and they're just like, wait, what? They totally changed everything. Which one is my favorite? That's a tough one. I enjoy them both thoroughly. Again, without really comparing, which one is my favorite? I think the book. The book is my favorite. It has so much detail. It has so much more backstory, and then there are so many more like spin-offs off of the original Vampire Diaries series, and it's just so much lore and so much thing. And again, I love the show, but definitely the book is my favorite. So there you go, peeps, Vampire Diaries. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever watched the show, if you've ever read any of the book series, if you're interested in reading the book series. Have a conversation with me, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and likewise, the links to that are always in the description down below. Thank you for being with me once again. I'll see you next time, and remember, keep reading.